So Necron's got 4 models in the core rulebook. Do you just want to? Do you have any particular favorite?
Well, let's just start from the top. The basic kind of grunt, the Necron Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 12-point model. It hits on 3s. It has strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 1 attack, 10 leadership, which is characteristic of all the Necron models.
Yeah.
And a 4-up save. It's 12 points. This model it initially got a lot of flack, and people weren't big fans of warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get it, but I don't know. With the elites book now, with things like Mefrit,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think warriors are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much built into Necron units.
Yeah,
already.
that you don't need to like pay for.
Yeah, I mean the 6-up. Well, the reanimation protocols, it's huge.
Yeah.
10 leadership is amazing.
Yeah.
You basically you kind of just delete the nerve or the morale phase.
Mm-hmm.
Not having to worry about that is huge. They have good saves. They hit on 3s in all situations, basically.
Yeah.
Base. Strength 4, toughness 4 is nice.
Yeah.
And they don't have any customization, but they come with a Gauss flare.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the Gauss flare for a second here. So Gauss flare, 24-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP -4, D1 damage.
AP -1.
1. Yes.
4.
Yes. Dear. Jeez. Yeah. For 12 points, they're essentially Space Marine stats with 10 leadership. And with an AP weapon.
Yeah.
Or just tactical. They're a baseline tactical Marine.
And with
a better gun and better leadership.
And reanimation protocols.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're shooting with these guys always. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting them in positions where they're in cover and they're within 1 inch of that cover. So somebody shooting back at them you need a 5 to take them out of action.
Yep.
With things like the elite tactic where what's it called? Prime reanimation protocols, or is that the leadership?
Yeah, I think it was prime reanimation protocols.
Or maybe I'm thinking of a core book tactic. The one where you roll the additional die and you take the lower result.
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that, when you already need only a 5 to kill them, it's so hard to take a Necron off the board.
Yeah. And the how hard it already is just base to take a Necron out of action is definitely this faction's biggest strength. It's their whole thing is just they don't die.
They don't shake. They don't die. They last, and that's really nice to have. 12 points is obviously, it's not super cheap, but it is their cheapest model, and there's just so much built into Necrons, even the base models, that I think it's fine in a lot of circumstances. Usually you're going to take a Necron warrior in a shooting list. Say you're going to make a warrior your comm specialist, to beef up your immortals, which we'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, I mean, they're good.
Yeah,
they're fine.
I think they're worth it, just coming from a point buy list building perspective.
Yeah,
economically very worth it.
Mm-hmm. So immortals, moving into those. Now these guys are basically just Necron warriors, but better.
Yeah,
they cost 4 points more. They're 16 points. Same stat line, except they have a 3-up save instead of a 4-up save.
Yeah.
They have a Gauss blaster instead of a Gauss flare. So the Gauss flare or blaster, is, again, it's basically the same as a Gauss flare, except strength 5, AP -2.
5, AP -2.
And again, with Mefrit, you're making that an AP -3 weapon.
Yeah, that's an oof. It's a big oof when you get hit by that.
It's really good. You only need really 1 shot to go through, and then you're forcing probably a 5-up save at the very least, unless you're against like a Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
they're really strong models. For 4 points more, yeah, 16 points is a decent amount, but try and find a model in Kill Team that has as much as an Immortal for 16 points.
Yeah, right.
There's so much built into Necrons.
Yeah.
Reanimation protocols, a 3-up save, 10 leadership, AP weapon. But unlike the Warrior, the Immortal has customization. They do have another weapon that they can take, and that's the Tesla Carbine.
Yeah.
Now this kind of falls into Deathmark territory, where some people like to think about taking it.
They like to think about it and they think better of it. Yeah.
But I do think that Tesla Carbine has a little bit more, potential than Deathmarks, in my opinion. It's strength 5, which is great.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost anything to take a carbine instead of a Gauss Blaster, which is also nice. It's assault 2 instead of rapid fire 1.
Yeah. That's nice.
So you can advance and shoot with them. The issue is that there's no AP. But with Mephrit, again, in a list where you're taking Tesla carbines, you're always going to have Mephrit. So you're going to have that additional AP -1 if you're not at long range. But the kicker here with Tesla carbines is each hit roll of 6+ with this weapon causes 3 hits. And this is something that had to be put in the errata, I believe, because in the book it says each hit roll of 6+, but it is supposed to be each unmodified hit roll of 6.
Okay.
If it was not unmodified, this would be a very different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could be getting 3 shots off on a hit roll of 4 otherwise, potentially. But yeah, Tesla carbines, if you're against, something with high armor saves, bad armor saves, I could see this being decent, especially if you need to get around the board quickly. Obviously, it's not going to be the go-to.
Yeah.
But it has potential.
Yeah.
As a strength 5 weapon, AP -1, and you get the potential 3 hits on a 6.
Yeah. That's
it's not terrible.
It's not terrible. Yeah. There are worse guns.
Yeah. If you're against orcs, actually, you could really make an argument that Tesla carbine is better than Gauss Blaster.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because orcs they have t-shirt saves.
Yeah.
They need a 6 anyway. So in your strength 5, every orc is just about going to be toughness 4 unless you're going against a Mega Knob. So Tesla carbine, maybe.
So flayed ones.
Okay, flayed ones are great. They're amazing.
Okay. Oh, okay.
With Novak, they're so good.
Yeah.
They're 10 points. So they're the cheapest. I think I might have said earlier that Warriors are the cheapest model. I don't know why I said that. Flayed ones are 10 points. They're the cheapest model. They have a lot of those same features. Obviously, their ballistic skill is 6-up, which means nothing because they can't shoot.
Yep.
They are melee only. But they hit on 3s. Strength 4, toughness 4, which is nice. 1 wound, 3 attacks, base. That's great.
That's fantastic.
10 leadership again, and then the 4-up save. So they come with Flayer Claws. So let's talk about Flayer Claws. It's a melee-only weapon. Strength is user, so it's going to be strength 4, unless you're taking disruption fields or something. There's no AP, and it's 1 damage. So up until that point, you're thinking, oh, well, what's so special about this weapon? The ability is you reroll failed wound rolls. So pair that with Novak, you're 3 attacks, rerolling failed hits, rerolling failed wounds. It doesn't even matter that there's no AP.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. You're forcing so many saves. It's something and you can take so many of them.
Can you make them, what specialisms do they have? Of course they have combat.
Combat, veteran, zealot.
Combat and zealot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. That's, they're incredible. For 10 points and you get all that.
On top of reanimation protocols and the fact that they're hard to kill anyway. They're very, very good.
Yeah.
A must-have in any command roster.
Must have.
And with how few models the Necrons have, you need to take flayed ones in a command roster.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the
do not take.
the red,
Going from the always take to the for God's sake, never take these.
The redheaded stepchild of the Necron family, the Death Marks. So they are 3s to hit. Strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 1 attack, 10 leadership.
Of course.
3-up save.
Mm-hmm.
The 3-up save is nice. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They come with a synaptic disintegrator. What is that, you might ask? It's 24 inches, rapid fire 1, strength 4, which is, I don't know why this weapon is strength 4. I just do not understand. But AP 0. And the ability is a model firing a synaptic disintegrator does not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for the target being at long range. That's nice. Each time you roll a wound roll of 6 up for this weapon, the target suffers a mortal wound in addition to any other damage. So this is another one where it's unmodified 6.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, contrary to what it says in the book. But the issue here, this doesn't sound all that bad until you find out that a death mark is 15 points. It's 1 less than an immortal.
Yeah.
Why would you ever take that?
And both of those weapons, they're both 24-inch range.
Yes. Same range, less strength, no AP, 1 damage, with a chance of a mortal wound. One thing that's nice, I will say, is you can make a death mark as a sniper, which you can't make any other unit a sniper for Necrons.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, you need those hits to go through, so I would hope you could do that. But it's just the value, it's horrible value.
Yeah, it's just a drain.
15 points, it's too much.
Yeah.
And they introduced a bunch of tactics and elites to try and make it work. And I think you could think about it, but I wouldn't take this to a tournament.
Yeah. Not competitive at all.
There's 2 of them, and one of which I like more than the other.
Yeah. I really don't. Just looking at the Lich Guard, if I had to pick and choose between either of these, it's fairly obvious. I mean, anybody. Lich Guard.
Yeah.
Lich Guard all the way.
Lich Guards are, and I don't know, this might be a hot take, but I think at 20 points, the Lich Guard is one of the best value units in the entire game.
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
It's insane how much they have.
They're so good.
So I'll go through the stats.
Yeah.
Weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3. They do still have 5-inch movement, which is unfortunate, but whatever.
Yeah.
Strength 5, toughness 5. Oof.
Oh yeah, that's a big oof right there.
Oof. 2 wounds,
Oof.
which that's also insane for a Necron. And I'll talk about that in a moment. 2 attack space, 10 leadership, and they have a 3-up save. So outside of strength 5, toughness 5, I don't think we need to talk too much about why that's crazy. But
they're already so tough to kill.
2 wounds. So
2 wounds.
Consider this. People are going to go out of their way to not take multi-damage weapons against Necrons.
Yeah.
And if you come out with a Lich Guard, it just becomes that much harder to take it off the board, outside of the fact that it's toughness 5, outside of the fact that it has a 3-up save, and outside of the fact that it has reanimation protocols, and all of these other tactics that help Necrons not die.
Yeah.
That's a crazy stat line. Toughness 5 is rare enough.
Oh, yeah.
In this game. But, I mean, let's talk about the weapon that they can come with. And you can customize these guys a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They come with a War Scythe at 20 points for free.
Yeah.
And it's right over here. So, melee weapon only. So, if you take a War Scythe on a Lich Guard, there are no ranged capabilities on this unit. But it doesn't even matter.
It really does not.
It's strength plus 2 on the War Scythe. So, a base Lich Guard attacking with a War Scythe has 7 strength. Make a Zealot on a charge round, you have 8 strength.
Oh, so you're wounding a Space Marine on a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here's the real kicker. AP minus 4. So it's, unless you have an invuln, it's basically going to be a mortal wound against anything that isn't a Terminator.
Yeah.
I feel like I keep having to say, here's the kicker when I look at Lich cards, because they're just crazy.
Yeah.
And then to top it all off, it's 2 damage. These guys delete units off the board.
Oh, yeah.
If you're locked in close combat with a Lich guard, it's going to kill you.
You're in the wrong spot.
Yeah. I mean, this is... I've played against Tyranids a lot with Lich guards on my list, and I can't imagine there's too many things in Melee that are wiping Lictors and Tyranid warriors off the board the way that these guys do. It's just nuts to me.
Yeah.
There's very few matchups where I wouldn't take a Lich guard. Maybe against something that already has really high saves and is already a toughness 3 model. It might be a little overkill to take it. But vast majority of matchups, a Lich guard is crazy good, and it can deal with anything in close combat. The customization, you can switch out the War Scythe for a Hyperphase Sword and a Dispersion Shield, giving it a 4-up invuln. The issue with this is it's 5 additional points, making it a 25-point model.
Yeah.
I don't think that's worth it, personally.
Oh, no, I don't think so either.
The Hyperphase Sword is Strength +1 instead of Strength +2. It's AP -3 instead of AP -4. And it's 1 damage instead of 2 damage. You're paying 5 extra points to get a 4-up invuln and a worse weapon.
Yeah. The fact that you're paying more money for a worse weapon, like, yeah, you do get the 4-up invuln, but this model is already so survivable, like, out of the box. It really does not need a 4-up invuln unless you want to turn him into, like, a bunker. Yeah. Like an actual bunker.
I can see if you're going against something like Imperial Guard and you're playing against Plasma Spam.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for 5 points, I would hope that the invuln would be a 3-up, but again, it's a little expensive for what it gives.
Yeah. I mean, 25 points, you said, right?
25 points with a Dispersion Shield.
Yeah. I don't think putting literally a quarter of my 100-point roster in one model is very economical.
Yeah. Especially with the way that Necron point costs kind of end up being, you can't really, it doesn't fit very well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Would you
moving on to Praetorians?
Yeah.
They are good models, like looking at the stats.
Yeah.
The value is there. It's just, so let's go through it. 10-inch movement, and they can fly. So that's
pretty wow in a faction that is known for being slow. If everyone has 5-inch movement.
I mean, on first glance, you look at a Praetorian, you're thinking, wow, this kind of belongs on just about any list. But let's continue. Ballistic skill 3, weapon skill 3. It's got that strength 5, toughness 5 that Lich guards do. It's got the 2 attacks that Lich guards do, 10 leadership, 3 up save. That's nice. One thing that they have also, outside of just reanimation protocols, as far as abilities go, is a Purpose Unshakable. This model automatically passes nerve tests. Now, I cannot think of a more useless ability to have on a Necron.
Necrons. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. And they come armed with a Rod of Covenant. And you can customize, but let's go over the Covenant Rod over here.
Yeah, so the Covenant, this weapon can be used as a ranged weapon and a melee weapon. When making shooting attacks or firing Overwatch with this weapon, use the range profile, obviously. And when making close combat attacks, use the melee profile, obviously. So their ranged attack, it's a 12-inch range, Assault 1, Strength 5, AP -3, 1 damage. Their melee attack is melee, user strength, AP -3, 1 damage.
Yeah. I don't. 12-inch range is pretty bad.
It's, yeah.
For one shot.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing is you can really, this guy's so fast, and it is assault. So, I mean, you advance him and you can get up to 16 inches around. That's nice. But for one shot, I don't know.
And like most of the shooting sub factions that we've been talking about. Well, the one, what's the name of it with the AP Mephrit? Mephrit, yeah. So Mephrit, it already like it buffs you. It's the best one to take for a shooting Necron list. Okay, and it's already buffing your AP. Because that's all it does. Is it buffs your AP.
Triac Praetorians don't even get sub-faction.
That's right.
Bonuses.
That's right. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
so even then, it doesn't even really help them very much.
Yeah.
I mean, you would imagine that it would help them in melee if you took Novak, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter. They don't get it.
Yeah.
You can switch out the rod for a hyperphase, or not a hyperphase sword, sorry, a void blade and a particle caster. The particle caster is a 12-inch pistol, strength 6, no AP, 1 damage. I don't know.
It's a strength 6 pistol.
Yeah. And then there's the void blade that they get for the, and this is only 1 extra point. By the way, a Triac Praetorian is 26 points. That's the issue with it. 26 points, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You add the void blade, and that's 1 extra point. But the void blade is user strength, so strength 5 again. Minus 3 AP, 1 damage, and you get 1 additional attack whenever you fight. So that's 3 attacks without a specialty. I don't know when I would spend 26, maybe 27 points on a model like this.
Yeah.
With what Necrons already have. Like I think that it's not that it's bad value. Like this model is worth 26 points, but in a Necron list, where do you take it?
Yeah. This particular model has a lot of versatility, I feel like. But it's like that versatility is kind of hampered just because of the way that the Necron army is set up. I feel like a lot of the Necron units, they're definitely purpose built for like probably one thing and one thing only, and you can't really do a lot with them. Looking at flayed ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just don't see how they can like really fit well in a like 100 point cost competitive list. I don't see how a 26 or 27 point model is really viable.
Yeah, I mean,
when compared to the alternate, the Lich Guard.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're understating just how valuable fly and 10-inch movement is. I don't know. It's tough to gauge. I think I would need to see more competitive lists with Triarchs before I really make a hard statement on how viable they are. But at first glance, I don't see myself ever taking them. So in a command roster, I think it would be fair to actually break it down into 2 sub-factions.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think there's certain situations where you can do that. And I think Necrons have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can make 2 lists, say.
Yeah.
One being Mephrit and one being Novak. I mean, I personally think that, especially with the introduction of Novak to elites,
mm-hmm.
actually running a full melee Necron team with all flayed ones, or 6 flayed ones, 2 Lich Guards, if you're looking at a 100 point list.
Yeah.
It's very good. And for me personally, something that I haven't seen 6 flayed ones, 2 Lich Guards. Since Elites has come out, I haven't really seen anybody run that list. But I think it's very good. I play it a lot. I have not lost with it yet. I don't know. It's just the amount of hits that you're getting through, and obviously you need to play that against a matchup where you don't think you're going to get super punished. Like maybe I wouldn't run that against Tau or something, but also maybe I would. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, when you're playing against Tau, if you are like a close combat list, I mean, I think I would argue, I think that's an optimal matchup.
Yeah.
For that kind of melee list is getting stuck in with Tau, who obviously everyone knows are notorious for not being good at all in close combat.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting to that point. Tau are always going to be sitting back, and you have 4th Brigade good, making it even harder to charge in and survive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, things like that. If you run this kind of list, 6 Flayed Ones, 2 Lich Guards against like a Harlequin or something.
Oh God.
It's very hard for Harlequins to win that matchup.
Yeah. That was the matchup that you had at the tournament that we went to, right?
Yeah. For the uninitiated, there was a local tournament, and I played. To be fair, it was a relatively unexperienced Harlequin player. I ran 6 Flayed Ones, 2 Lich Guards against him, and I tabled him round 2. I don't know if I've ever tabled anybody round 2 before that. It was a very quick game. It lasted about 15 minutes, maybe.
Oh God,
tops.
Oh God. No mercy in this dojo.
It really is. It's a very, very good list. Again, just volume of hits and that goes up.
What's talking about? I want to like run the numbers right now and like see like how many hits you're getting through like at max with that list.
Oh, so let's say you get everybody stuck into close combat in a round. That's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You have 2 Lich Guards. One is going to be a combat specialist. One is going to be a zealot specialist. So they're getting 3 attacks each. Rerolling failed hits. Yeah. Not rerolling failed wounds, but there's a decent chance you're wounding on 3s or 2s anyway.
Yeah.
So let's say you get all 3 hits for both of them. That's 6. And then you have the 6 Flayed Ones that are rerolling failed hits, rerolling failed wounds.
Mm-hmm. And they each get 3 attacks. So that's 18 right 18. There, and then plus
6 more.
Plus 6 more.
Wow. You're looking at 24 hits in a single round.
And you're re-rolling them all.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, all of them.
And for the Flayed Ones, you're re-rolling the wounds, too.
Yeah.
It's just, you force that many saves, and it doesn't even matter if you have an invuln save.
Yeah.
Or if you
things like storm shields.
Yeah.
Like shield drones, I think, for Tau. Well, I mean, that's completely different because they got savior protocols, but
yeah, it's very wild. It's good if you can actually get into that position and you can get those charges through.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to beat that list.
Yeah, it is. A matchup that Necrons would be struggling with, or could potentially struggle with, is if they were against Deathwatch.
Yeah, I think that there's an avenue where that could be a tough matchup if the Deathwatch player is coming in and really knows what he's doing against a Necron list. They have a lot of weapons that are 1 damage with high AP.
Yeah.
They have a lot of they have a lot of opportunity to take storm shields, which is good against especially a shooting list. Because Necrons, I mean, their bread and butter really is AP.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can see, like, I think a frag cannon is one of the single best weapons to take against Necron, because you're getting so many wounds through with AP, and it's only going to do 1 damage.
Yeah.
So you can probably take out a Lich Guard just through the amount of wounds going through.
That's right.
Yeah, it's Deathwatch. I think it's not a perfect matchup, but just because it's an elite squad, and obviously elite teams are going to have their own problems dealing with a lot of Necron capabilities. But I don't know. I think that's one that isn't exactly terrible. I think that could give Necrons trouble, provided that the Deathwatch player is, I guess, prepared for the matchup and knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I think Deathwatch don't have, like, I think they're one of the best factions that are capable of, like, actually killing a Necron model.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they're very competitive. Just like looking at it from a tournament or something. Like, I'm not sure if I would run Deathwatch in a tournament just because there's so low model count.
It's tough. It is tough for an elite squad to succeed in this game at times. I think that Deathwatch is good though. I think personally, I like Deathwatch. At least pre-elite. I don't know about post-elites, but pre-elites there was. I don't remember the player's name, but he has an interview with, I think, Glass Half Dead, who was succeeding in majors with Deathwatch. The potential is there.
Yeah.
And they're very flexible.
Yeah, they have so many weapons, and the vast majority of them, if not all of them, I think, have AP, which is great against Necrons. If you're going up against Necrons, good luck if you don't have any AP. Their ability to take storm shields, so they have that 3-up invuln it's good, but against like the Novak Flayed one list.
The counter to invulns is always going to be volume of attacks.
Yeah.
You just need to force so many saves that they fail eventually.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good answer to
now
Storm Shield.
That being said, while like that can be negated because the Deathwatch models are already so high point cost, like if I'm struggling to fit anything else in, I would advocate taking the Storm Shield.
Yeah.
Just simply because it's like, I can't fit another model in. I already have a melee guy. I might as well give him the shield just to like try to fill up the list.
Yeah.
The best melee weapon I think that they have against Necrons would be the Power Sword.
AP -3.
It's AP -3, 1 damage.
Strength is user though, right?
Strength is user.
That's the one issue. So you're going to be wounding on 4s.
You can take a Zealot.
Then your 3s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the combat, he'll just take another attack. It's better than the Power Maul in my opinion, which increases the strength by 2, but it's only AP -1.
Yeah.
So
against a flayed one, you're forcing then a 5-up save.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
Yeah. And then like their custom, the custom bolt ammunition that they have, where they have the option to like always wound on 2s, stuff like that, or they have 2 that will buff their AP. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible matchup against Necrons, but there's an answer to it, and I think that's a common trend when trying to look at matchups for Necrons. Is there is an answer to it in an optimal command list or a command roster.
Earlier, you said that the Imperial Guard Plasma spam list would be pretty tough against Necrons. Well, not pretty tough, but
it would be one of the more difficult matchups, I'd say.
Yeah. So against that list, I'm apt to say that you would obviously want to be running the Flayed 1 Lich Guard list as opposed to the shooting list.
I think there's merit, and like any open board game, you're gonna have to look at the map and look at the terrain, and how everything is laid out. But it's in the best interest of an Imperial Guard player to stay far away from that kind of list, from an all flayed one list. But the reality is, you're playing objectives a lot of the time, and they're going to have to move in at some point. And that turn 1, and this is one thing with a lot of matchups that I've noticed, is that turn 1 initiative, losing it is so good. It's better to lose it, and
as
almost
Necrons?
Not just as Necrons, but I think as most factions.
Yeah.
I think, how often do you win turn 1 initiative and you're thinking, yes, now I can make my move?
Hardly ever, unless like I could see like claiming a middle objective or something, but then the other person will just react to that by sitting all their guys on the opposite side of the board and just like try to blow them off the objective.
Yeah.
Maybe
if you're playing something like Tyranids and you just want to advance a ton of guys forward.
Yeah.
And move
I could see
12, 14 inches.
I could see Tyranid players wanting that turn 1 initiative, just because they're one of the factions that can really capitalize on it with how fast their movement is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to win initiative, or to lose initiative, rather.
It's important to lose initiative, yeah.
Turn 1, especially as an all melee faction. you want to put yourself in a position where
Right.
hopefully you can either charge or
At least hide all your
Hide.
guys behind cover.
yeah, in worst case scenario, you're visible to a plasma gun round one, but you're obscured.
Yeah.
And they need a 5 to kill you.
Yeah. Because
Not-
Necrons.
Yeah, not bad odds, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact is you just sit a bunch of melee flayed ones on objectives. And I think that's actually another situation where just running flayed ones and not running any Lich Guards would be decent.
Yeah.
Because the AP -4 is useless against a guardsman.
Yeah, right.
Strength 8 is just overkill.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like mathematically overkill.
yeah. I mean, maybe if they're running Bulgrins or Ogrins, you would take the Lich Guard. And I've encountered that before, but yeah. Toughness 3 struggles against Necrons a lot.
So Necrons they're an extremely well-rounded faction, I would say. They can specialize in a lot of things, which is I feel like that's kind of rare in this game, where you have a faction that can both be well-rounded and tailored to any specific situation, but not only can do that, but in some of those situations where they can actually excel, and they are very good. So do you think that this faction lacks in anything?
I would say the area that they lack in the most is bodies. The most models that you can put in a 100-point list is 10, and that's assuming you're taking all flayed ones, nothing else. When you have things like Tau or Tyranids or Orcs that are running like minimum 14 models, it can get a little bit hard to compete, especially in an objective game.
Yeah.
And I think the answer to that, the best answer that Necrons have, is their models are strong. I mean, you have to, a lot of the time, I think you have to answer a horde with either 10 flayed ones or 6 flayed ones, 2 Lich Guards, and just try your best to, get into combat and win there.
Yeah.
I think that's the best bet that they have. Like a flayed one is just so valuable at 10 points with how much they have built in already. That comparing them to like a grunt of another faction, like an Orc Boy or a Recon Drone or something. It's not unrealistic to actually compete with those horde armies. And that's one thing that I think Necrons have over a lot of the other quote unquote elite armies.
Yeah.
Is they really have the tools to handle hordes in ways that other factions don't.
So, final thoughts on Necrons. I think that all the versatility that this faction has, and their resiliency and ability to excel in both shooting and close combat, really makes them like a very good faction if it's being run by someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the fact of the matter is, consistently over the last year, you've seen at major events, Necrons placing at worst top 8, multiple times top 4. And you get results like that by winning a lot of games at those tournaments. And you're not going to win a lot of games without, I mean, I don't want to say that it's not based on the player, but you need a good faction. You put a good faction in the hands of a good player, and they're going to succeed with it. And I think Necrons have the tools to be a consistently top-tier faction.